Hello all, welcome to the session on Excise in Tally.ERP9 5.0. Out here we will not cover the domain understanding of Excise, the rules and the regulations. We are confident that you have the necessary understanding of Excise to follow the session. The session will proceed in the order shown on the slide. We will start with the business requirements. The two big questions that a businessman asks himself are: is my tax return reconciled with the transactions? And am I paying the right tax to the government? If the returns are reconciled with the transactions and the right tax is paid, then there is never a problem. But if errors are discovered in the returns or if the wrong tax is paid to the government, there are penalties and fines in addition to the harassment that he goes through. Typically, every businessman would want to ensure that returns reflect books accurately. The tax returns must reflect the underlying transactions accurately. This is a basic need. We cannot have the tax ledgers showing one figure and the tax returns showing another. Transactions are recorded correctly. To ensure the returns are accurate and the tax payments are correct, transactions must be entered correctly as per the excise rules. Errors can be identified easily. Errors are inevitable. It is important that the software has a simple, accurate and fast way in which potential errors are highlighted so that timely corrections may be done, preferably before filing the returns. Simple to set up and start. Every businessman wants that his taxes are managed in a simple manner, that the initial setup is minimal and it takes just a few minutes, that no expertise is needed. We will now move to 5.0 and go through the complete demo. Let us see how simply a first time user can set up Excise for manufacturers and start using Release 5.0 in minutes. Most manufacturers have a simple environment, that is, one rate of excise duty is applicable on the products manufactured because they fall in the same category. Let us see how simple it is to set up and enter the first excise invoice for manufacturers in Release 5.0. We will create a new company. Let us say Akash Manufacturers. We will put this in Karnataka and we will press Ctrl A to accept the screen and create the company. We will press F11 to enable excise. By going into strategy and taxation, we will say yes to VAT and to excise, and we will also say yes to set alter excise details. Here we will select the registration type as manufacturer and the registration type of manufacturer as a regular size dealer. We will say yes to set alter excise details here and enter the default tariff details for this company. We will key in the HSN code as well and the reporting UM as U. Let us say a 12.5% excise rate defined at the company level. That's all. Only this much configuration is required, nothing more. Most businesses have one rate of excise duty. That is why we have given the facility of defining the tariff details at the company creation level, so that a user need not enter these details for every item. That would be too time consuming. Of course, if there are multiple rates, the user can always define the rates at the stock item level. We will now go to accounting voucher and pass a sale voucher. Let us say Alt C to create a party. Let us say Arihant Trading. We will group this under sundry debtors. No more configuration required in the ledger creation. We will just go ahead and accept the screen by Ctrl A. We will now create a sale account and group it under sale account. As you can see, excise has been applicable automatically and we do not have to do any more configurations here. Let us create a stock item. We will press Alt C to create an item. Let us say cricket bat and we will group this under sports equipment. So I will press Alt C to create a group. We will just accept the screen and create numbers as the unit for the stock item. As you can see, excise is applicable by default, no more configuration required. We just have to select this item as a finished good and we will proceed with this entry. Let us say one quantity and 100 is the rate. We will create another stock item. Let us say cricket ball. We will group it under sports equipment and numbers. Excise is applicable, we just have to say finished goods here. Quantity 1 and rate is 20. We will finally create one more stock item by pressing Alt C. Let us say cricket helmet, grouping under sports equipment and numbers, and saying as finished goods. Let us say one quantity at 250 rupees. We will now press Alt C and create an excise ledger, grouping it under duties and taxes, and send VAT. We will select the duty head as basic excise duty. We do not need to define the percentage of calculation here. We can just go ahead and accept the screen. You can see that the excise rate has automatically been calculated. Let us verify if the calculation is correct. As you can see, the item rate is 370 rupees, on which if we calculate 12.5%, the calculation comes to 46.25, which is correctly calculated by Tally. We will go ahead and accept the screen. If we want to print a rule in invoice, all we need to do is press Alt P here, and as you can see, Tally has identified it's an excise invoice and it will print a rule in invoice. We will say Alt Z to zoom in, and you can see it's a rule in invoice created in a matter of minutes. If we need to print out a commercial invoice, there is a toggle given here, Control E for non-excise. We can just press Control E and this will become a regular commercial invoice. And just press Alt P, print, and this becomes a normal commercial invoice. So you've seen how easy it is to record the tax transactions. You simply enable excise, define the applicable rates, create normal ledgers and stock items, pass transactions, and see the duty getting auto-calculated in the transactions. Because of the simple and quick setup, sales calls can now be closed very quickly. Imagine how many more calls you will be able to make, and therefore how many more sales you will do. No expertise is required to record the transactions and generate returns. Customers can now record error-free transactions with minimum support. Suppose there is an upward revision in the rate per unit of the stock items or in the rate of excise duty for which invoices have already been issued. In order to recover this additional amount, we will have to pass an excise supplementary invoice. Next, let us see how to pass supplementary excise invoices in Tally.ERP9 5.0. To pass an excise supplementary invoice, we will go into accounting vouchers. As you can see, there is an option Control U supplementary here. We will click on that. The same entry will become an excise supplementary invoice. We will select the party for which this entry has to be made. Let us say Arihant Trading. We will define the period in which this entry lies. As you can see, we have an invoice for which we need to generate the supplementary invoice. I will select the entry and I will press F12 here. Say yes to the option of provide common duty details for stock item. We will say yes to provide revised duty details. You can see here Tally is asking you that the earlier basic excise duty rate was 12.5%. Let us say that the new rate is 14%. We will now proceed. As you can see, all the items which were previously billed have been pulled up by Tally. If I also need to change the item rate, we can do that from here. Let us say that the item is now being billed at 120 rupees instead of the previous 100 rupees. You can see Tally has automatically calculated the excise duty for these changes that we have done. To print this, we will just say Alt P. Tally has identified it's a supplementary invoice. When I print it, the same can be easily printed. As shown in the product demo, in order to pass a supplementary excise invoice, all you need to do is simply open the sales invoice and press Ctrl U. This is the toggle key to switch between the normal invoice and the supplementary excise invoice. Enter the revised rate in the item allocation screen, pass transactions, and see the differential duty getting calculated. It's as simple as that. What if a manufacturer has multiple excise units? Release 5.0 handles this also in a very simple manner. Let us see how. To do this, we will press F11, Features, and go into Strategy and Taxation. We will say yes to the option of Set Alter Excise Details. Here we will press F12 and enable the last option, Enable Multi-Excise Unit. As you can see, another option of Enable Multi-Excise Unit has appeared. We will say yes to that and we will save the screen. To create an excise unit, we will go to Inventory Info. we will create a go down. Let us say Delhi. We will create an excise unit by pressing Alt C here. Let us name the same as Excise Delhi. We will say yes to the option of set alter excise details. Let us say this is a manufacturer of a regular size. Saying yes to set alter excise details. I will enter the tariff details. Let us say tariff 2, and I will enter the appropriate HSN code. Let us say the unit of measurement is U and the rate is 12.5. I will accept these screens. And now because of this we have created a go down and we have tagged it to a particular excise unit. Now let us see how we can pass an sale voucher for the same. We will go to accounting voucher. As you can see in the entry itself, Tally is asking you which excise unit you want to proceed with. I can select either of these two. The same functionality has also been provided in all the reports. If we go to display, statutory reports, excise reports, manufacturer and excise forms, let us say form ER1. Tally will first of all ask you which unit you want to view the particular report for. If a business has multiple excise units, all it needs to do is enable the multiple excise unit feature, create go downs and tag them to their respective excise unit. Then enter invoices normally. The setup and the entry experience is absolutely simple. Now we will turn our attention to calculating excise duty on item MRP. We will go into inventory info, stock item, and we will open the cricket bat stock item. We will say yes to the option of set alter excise details. We will press F12 here and enable tax based on MRP. Let us enter the appropriate tariff details for this particular item. The reporting UOM. We will say yes to calculate duty on MRP and specify the abatement as 30%. Let us say that the rate for this item is 12.5%. In the item creation screen, let us press F12 and enable the option of allow MRP marginal for stock items and accept it with Ctrl A. We will then say yes to set alter MRP details. Here I can either specify an MRP standard for a particular stock item, let us say rupees 300. Instead, if I want to specify a state-wise MRP, I will press F12 and say yes to allow state-wise MRP. Now Tally is asking me applicable from which date, for which state, how much is the particular stock item rate MRP. So let us say for Karnataka it is rupees 100, for Tamil Nadu it is rupees 200, and for any, that is the rest of the country, it is rupees 300. We will save the item ledger. To see how this impacts, we will go into accounting vouchers. In a sale entry, we will select the party as Arihant Trading. Remember that Arihant Trading is in Karnataka. We will press Ctrl A to accept the screen and select the sale account. We will select cricket bat as the item. Quantity 1. Let us say that the rate is rupees 90 at which we are selling the item. Now when I put the excise ledger, you can see that 8.75 has been calculated. Let us understand how this number has come. If you remember, for Karnataka the item rate is rupees 100, on which a 30% abatement leaves out a 70% item rate, and we will put a 0.125 excise rate, which turns out to be 8.75, which is the right number which has been calculated by Tally. You can see irrespective of the rate defined at the voucher level, Tally is calculating the tax based on the MRP which we have defined in the item ledger. Let us try with a different state. Let us go into accounting vouchers, accounting info, ledger, and alter our party. Let us say now that this party is in Tamil Nadu. We will accept the screen with Ctrl A. Passing the same entry again, I will select the party, accept the screen. I will select the stock item, quantity 1. Let us still keep the rate as 90. Now when I select excise, The rate is 17.5, which is double of what it was earlier. As you can see, because the rate has been doubled, the excise calculation has also been doubled. So calculating duty based on MRP is absolutely simple in Tally.ERP9 release 5.0. For Tally to calculate excise duty based on state-wise MRP, all you need to do is enable the feature state-based MRP and define the rate for each state. Based on the customer state, MRP will be automatically picked up for duty calculation. This new capability will be of tremendous value for manufacturers who have state-based MRP on items and the duty is calculated based on MRP of the items. What if there is a change in the duty rates? Every manufacturer would want that this change is easily handled. Also, the change must not affect the previously entered invoices. Let us see how 5.0 handles this. To configure the change of duty rates, we will press F11, go into Statutory and Taxation. We will say yes to the option of Set Alter Excise Details. We will then say yes to the option of Set Alter Excise Tariff Details. Here let us change this excise rate from 12.5 to 14%. When I press enter, Tally is asking me from which date this new rate is applicable. Let us say from 1st May 2015 the rate has changed to 14% and I will accept the screen. If I go back, I can see there is an option of Alt L details here. When I click on that, Tally is telling me that I have defined two different rates from different dates and it will be applicable from this specified date. Let us see what impact it has when I pass a sale entry. We will go into accounting voucher. Let us set a date in May. Now when I select the party, accepting this screen with Control A, I'll select sale. Let us select the stock item. For ease of calculation, I'll say it is being billed at rupees 100 and select the excise ledger. You can see that the new rate has automatically been picked by Tally. So you saw how simple it was to define the new duty rate and how Tally calculated the duty amount automatically. Some manufacturers may be producing items with different excise duty rates. This is easily handled in release 5.0. Let us see how. To do this, we will press F11 features. We will go into Statutory and Taxation. We will say yes to the option of Set Alter Excise Details. We will say yes to the option of Define Excise Tariff and Duty Details as masters. We will accept these screens. We will now create excise classification by going into Inventory Info, Excise Classification, Create. Let us say Sports Equipment 20%. I will specify the details, reporting UOM. Let us say this is at 20%. We will now tag this excise classification to a stock group. We will go to stock group, alter. We will select the sports equipment stock group. We will say yes to the option of Set Alter Excise Details. In classification, we will select the classification we have just made, the sports equipment 20%. Let us say this is applicable from 1st April and we will accept the screen. When I enter a particular sale voucher, let us see the impact that this has. I will select the party, the sale ledger. Let us select two stock items being billed at rupees 100 each, so that the calculation is easily visible. You can see that both the items have been tagged at 20%, which is why the excise is 40%. If now the sports equipment group undergoes a change in rate, how do we configure that? We just have to go into Inventory Info, Excise Classification, Alter, and we will say that the new rate now is not 20 but 25%, and this is applicable, let us say, from 1st June 2015. We will accept the same. No other change has to be made. We will go into accounting vouchers and we will try passing another entry. We will select the item and we will change the date to a June date. Now when I pass the same, putting the ledger, it is calculating as 25, which is the rate which we have defined for the month of June. So you saw how simple it was to define one duty rate for a group of items. If a manufacturer has several groups, each having items of a specific rate, you just need to define the rate at the stock group level. No need to define it for each item. Imagine a case where the rate changes for a group of items. This facility of classification will enable you to change the rate at one go, saving time and effort. Now, let us see how simply a first-time user can set up Excise for dealers and start using Release 5.0 in minutes. We will create a new company. Let us say Ajay Traders. Putting this under Karnataka, we will say Control A to accept and create the company. We will press F11 features going into statutory and taxation. We will enable VAT and we will enable excise. We will say yes to set alter excise details. The registration type we will select as dealer and we will say yes to set alter excise tariff details. We will define the tariff details here, the appropriate HSN code to be entered and the unit of measurement. Let us say the rate is 12.5%. We will accept and say Control A to the remaining screen. That is all the configuration to be done. We will go into inventory info, stock item, and we will create an item in which this particular company is trading. Let us create a unit as numbers and we will say Control A and accept this item creation. We will go into accounting vouchers and let us start with the purchase. We will press F9 for purchase here. We will create a supplier. Let us say Arihant Trading. Putting this under creditors, we will say Control A and accept the screen. As you can see, the default nature of purchase has automatically been picked by Tally as a manufacturer. If we require, we can go back and change the same. Let us proceed with manufacturer. We will say Control A and accept the screen. We will say Alt C and we will create a purchase here in under purchase account and say Control A and accept the screen. We will select the item that we are dealing in, iron bars, and let us say 10 quantity are being purchased at the rate of 1000. We will go ahead and save the entry. Now let us do a sale. We will press F8 and enter into a sale entry. Let us create a party TSM, putting it under debtors. We will say Control A and accept the same. We will say accept this screen as well. We will say Alt C here and create a sale account. As you can see, excise is applicable by default. We can just go ahead and say Control A to accept the screen. We will select the item that we are dealing in, iron bars. As soon as we press enter, Tally will prompt us with the list of purchases available for this particular item. We will select this particular entry. As we can see, there are 10 units for this item which are available for sale. Let us say we sell 5 of these at the rate of 1200 rupees and we go ahead and save this particular entry. Let us pass another purchase entry. We will say F9 for purchase. We will select the party as Arihant Trading. Here, instead of manufacturer, let us select the party as a first stage dealer. We will say Control A and accept the same. We will select the item. Let us say again we purchase 10 quantity at the rate of 100. As you can see, Tally is prompting me with the manufacturer details. This is because we have selected this as a first stage dealer and it is mandatory for the same to carry the manufacturer details. Let us say the invoice number is this and the date is 1st of April. We will now go ahead and save this purchase entry. We will press F8 for sales. Let us say we select the party as TSM, Control A to accept the screen. Now we will select the particular stock item. Before that, we should go into F12. There is an option allow different nature of purchase for excise bills. Because we have two different natures of purchases, manufacturer and first stage dealer, we will say this option as yes. We will select the item. You can see that two different nature of purchases are coming here. We will press F12 and enable all the available options. Now more details about all of these purchases is coming. For example, the supplier name, nature of purchase, etc. Let us say I want to sell 5 quantities from both of these particular entries. I can select 5 from them at the rate of 1200, and we can go ahead and save this particular entry. So as you saw, setting up excise for dealers is very simple. Now let us see the powerful capability of triangulation. In release 5.0, the excise report form ER1 has been designed in such a way that the user can identify transactions included for generating returns, transactions excluded because they are not relevant, and transactions about which Tally is uncertain as to what to do because there is missing information or possible errors. This concept is called triangulation because of these three aspects. The user can drill down into each type, included, excluded, and uncertain, and satisfy himself of the correctness of this information. In the uncertain bucket, Tally gives the different reasons for errors or missing information. The user can directly go into the masters or transactions and correct the errors or provide the missing information. This results in 100% correct return, giving confidence of a hand-prepared return. Now let us see this powerful capability in action. In order to see the power of this capability, let us make a few errors in the transaction. We will go into display, statement of accounts, statistics, and we will open one of the sale entries that we have done. You can see that the excise amount here is 500. Let us change this amount to 600 rupees and save this particular entry. Now to access the triangulation report, we will go into display, statutory reports, excise reports, manufacturer, excise forms, and into form ER1. As you can see, Tally is telling me that there are total 2 transactions that we have done in the month of April. One of the transactions is included in the return because of which these values are appearing. None of the transactions is excluded, and one transaction is in the uncertain bucket. Let us see what the uncertain transaction is all about. We will press enter. As you can see, there is a mismatch in tax amount. This is appearing because we manually made a change in the excise amount. We will press enter. As you can see, Tally is telling me that as per the transaction, the excise amount is rupees 600, which we had manually entered. But as per the calculation given on the company level, the amount should have been rupees 500 for the excise. So there is a mismatch in tax as a potential reason. To correct this, we will press enter, open the transaction. We will come to the excise amount, press space, and we will press enter. You can see that the correct amount has been automatically picked by Tally. We will just say Ctrl A, and as you can see, this error has been corrected, and all the 2 transactions that we have done have come in the included transactions bucket, as well as those values have been captured in this return form. So we saw how simple it was to identify the missing information and errors, how easily we could provide the information and correct the errors, and as a result get complete confidence that the return is 100% correct. Imagine a scenario: a businessman finalizes his excise return, then the accountant makes backdated additions or alterations. How will anyone know about such changes? Release 5.0 gives a powerful capability of saving returns. After you save the return, whatever changes are done, they will get reflected in the triangulation report, thereby helping in immediate action. Let us see this in action. As you can see, there is an option of F6 save in the triangulation report to save the return. We will click on this and we will say yes, we want to save the return. Now this return has been saved. Let us, for the same period that we are working in April, let us do a few changes. Let us create a new sale entry. We will select the party, select an item, and let us put the excise here. So in the same period we have created a new entry. Let us delete an existing transaction. So let us delete this particular entry, and let us make some changes to one of the entries already existing. Let us change this amount to rupees 200 so that the transaction gets changed. Now when we go back to the triangulation report by display, statutory reports, excise report, manufacturer, excise forms and ER form 1, you can see Tally is telling us the return values might have changed. Press F5 to recompute. And the modified masters and vouchers are appearing here. You can see since we have not changed anything at the master level, there is no change at the master level, but 3 modified vouchers are appearing. The 3 changes that we made, creating a new transaction, deleting an entry and changing an existing entry. You can see 1 created voucher, 1 altered and a deleted voucher. We can press F5 and recompute so that these 3 transactions are considered in the return. We will do that. Now Tally is giving an option to overwrite and save this new return with the transactions computed. I can say F6 and overwrite. It says, do you want to overwrite the existing return? And I can simply say yes or no as per my convenience. And these returns have been saved. They get saved in the return transaction book. When we go here, we can see that this particular saved return was saved by us, which was later overwritten, and this is appearing here. As you can see that the balance duty payable after adjustment is rupees 440 rupees. What we can do is, right from the triangulation report, we have the option of start payment, Alt S. We will click on this option. We will say that for the month of April 2015, we want to make the statutory payment. We will go ahead, we will select a bank, let us say HDFC Bank, and we will select the excise ledger. As you can see, Tally has automatically picked up the value, the 440 rupees, which is pending for payment towards the department. We will proceed and enter the appropriate details, and we will save this entry. As you can see, there is one payment transaction which is coming in the not included transactions. Let us see what that is all about. Tally is telling us that it is unable to determine the payment period and the challan details. We will press enter and we will enter these details. Let us say HSBC Bank and a BSR code and a challan number. Let us say this is challan date and we will accept the same. As you can see, this error has been removed and the duty payable rupees 450 is now showing as a duty payment already made of rupees 440. The balance duty payable is nil. Now let us see how we should engage with an existing user of Tally.ERP9. First, you must take a backup of his data. Then you can migrate the data to release 5.0. After successful migration, you will see a message. Click on the message and view the Getting Started document. This document tells you the steps to be followed before you start entering fresh data in 5.0. Now let us quickly go back and look at the triangulation report for an existing customer. We will now go into the triangulation report. To access the same, we will go into display, statutory reports, excise reports, manufacturer, excise forms, form ER1. As you can see, Tally is telling us that in the month of April, total 15 transactions were passed by the customer. None of these transactions have been included into the return compilation, because of which no values are appearing here. 9 transactions are under the excluded transactions bucket and 6 of them are under the uncertain transactions. Let us first examine why the transactions are in the excluded transaction bucket. When we press enter, we can see that these are those voucher types for which excise is not applicable and they have nothing to do with excise, and therefore they have rightly been excluded by Tally from the return computation. Let us now move to the uncertain transaction bucket. When we press enter, Tally gives us an interactive tool wherein the errors or the possible missing information have been divided into 2 buckets, that is the master related exceptions and the transaction related exceptions. Let us start correcting these errors. As we can see, for 6 of these entries, Tally is saying it is unable to determine the excise applicability. We will press enter. We will use control space to select all of these entries and we will say they are all excisable entries by clicking on this option of excise. We will move to this particular error. It says unable to determine the nature of purchase. Let us press enter. As we can see, this is a purchase from a manufacturer. We will select this entry click on the option of set nature of purchase and say it's a manufacturer. Next, it says unable to determine the book number in the voucher. We will press enter and set the book number and the subsequent serial numbers. We will accept the same. Now it says it is unable to determine the nature of removal. Let us examine these entries. So we will select all of these entries using control space, click on set nature of removal, and let us say these are all domestic removals. We will press enter. Now Tally tells us that there is a mismatch in tax amount in some of the entries. Let us press enter here. This screen tells us that as per the transaction, this is the amount that has been entered, but as per the calculation given on the company level, this should have been what the tax amount is, and there is a reasonable amount of difference between these two, because of which it says a mismatch in tax amount. So let us examine this entry. When we press enter, we realize that this entry was probably on a 10% excise calculation, whereas on the company level we have defined this as 12. So as per the correctness of the entry, if this should be a 12% entry, we can come here and correct the same. Otherwise, if it is correctly been entered as a 10%, we can simply select this entry using space and say accept as is, so that it becomes a part of our included transactions. We will select Alt A here. For this entry, Tally says no tax is involved. Let us see what this is about. We press enter, we see that the user has probably forgotten to enter the excise ledger, because of which the error is coming. Let us press enter and enter the excise ledger. You can see that the relevant value has automatically been picked. When we save the entry, this error has been corrected. We move to unable to determine the nature of adjustment for general entries. We select this. We can select them all and set the nature of adjustment. Let's say for adjustment to a removal as such in inputs. You can see that all the errors have been removed and there are no more transactions remaining in the uncertain transaction bucket, and all the remaining 6 have come in the included transaction bucket, because of which our return is prepared properly. As you can see, there is some Senvad credit available for us to avail. What we can do is, right from the triangulation report, there is an option of statutory adjustment, Alt J. We will click on this option and we will say we want to adjust it towards duty liability, so that the 8,292 of the liability gets reduced. So we will click on this option and we will say adjustment towards duty liability. We will select the input excise ledger, that is Senvad. Let us see, we want to avail only 5,000 of the available credit for now. We will press enter. Tally has automatically identified the basic excise duty ledger to which this amount has to be credited. We will go ahead and save this entry. As you can see, 5,000 of the available credit has been utilized and the liability has been reduced from 8,292 to only 3,292 rupees. We can also view the details of the duty payable from the triangulation report itself. To do that, we need to pan down to duty payable. We will press enter. You can see there is an option of duty breakup F7 here. We will click on this button. This report gives the details of all the transactions made with the HSN code, the tariff number, the unit of measurement, quantity manufactured, quantity consumed, the nature of removal, finally the assessable value on which the tax has been calculated, and the breakup of the duty. So the total duty with the details of the basic excise duty and both the education and secondary education cess. As we can see that the return is properly computed. The duty payable as of now is 8,292 rupees. Let us pay this duty. Right from this screen we can press Alt S. This option of start payment is available. When we click on this, we will specify the period for which we want to do the entry. Let us select a bank from which we are making the payment and the excise ledger. Tally has automatically picked the amount that is due for payment, and we will enter the relevant details here. Let us enter the check number and we'll save this entry. Now you can see that in the payment details, this particular entry that we have done is coming under the non-included transactions. We will press enter and we will examine this entry. It says it is unable to determine the payment period and challan details. We will press enter and feed in the relevant details and accept the same. As you can see, after correcting the same, there is no more balance duty payable, and the 8,292 which was due is coming as duty paid, and we have successfully completed this. Just like for manufacturer, even for excise dealer, the same options of triangulation report is available. Let us examine the same. We will go into display, statutory reports, excise reports, dealer, form 2 for the dealer. We can see in the month of April he has done 5 transactions, all of which are in the uncertain bucket. Just like earlier, we will go ahead and correct the errors. Let us set this tariff detail for this particular item, and we will define the excise rate here as 12.5%. We can continue correcting these errors. I'll say select all and excise. Once we have corrected these errors, the return will properly be prepared, and just like in manufacturer, the return will be prepared, and we can save the same from here by pressing F6. In a nutshell, Release 5.0 makes tax management simple. As we saw in the demo, setting up and configuring excise in Tally was simple and did not take more than a few minutes. As already demonstrated, we could enter the first invoice in a few minutes of creating the company. As you saw, it is so simple to enter adjustment and the payment entries. We can handle any complex requirement in a simple manner, whether it's a multi-excise unit or changes in tax rates or state-based MRP. Because of the minimal configuration, Release 5.0 ensures that minimal errors occur. But since errors are inevitable, and when they occur, the triangulation report helps you to identify them and correct them easily, ensuring that you get the confidence of a hand-prepared return. Let us move to the FAQs. Is there an audit report for altered transactions? The Tally philosophy is that if a user can see what edits or deletes he has done in Tally, then so can anyone else. And it becomes difficult to explain the genuine reasons why you have made these changes to your books of accounts. Therefore, we will still not provide transactional audit. When we save the excise triangulation report, the report gets saved with the final figures and also the connected masters and transactions. If the transactions or masters are changed, Tally will be able to point out that there have been changes to those masters and the transactions that were part of the saved report. Tally will not be able to say what were these changes. The user will need to identify them manually, and if the changes made require the user to file a revised return, he must do so. Do you have the concept of saved returns? Yes, as we said earlier, we have maintained a consistent experience for all triangulation across the different tax types in 5.0. How do I rectify errors in excise charged? In case you charge less, the liability to pay is not reduced. You will still need to pay and hopefully collect it from the customer by raising a supplementary invoice. Generally, you can discuss this with your CA and make the necessary transactions in Tally. The government issues a new excise rate. You can specify the new rate and proceed with your transactions. You do not have to wait for the stat update. Of course, if the excise formats have changed, you will need to wait for the stat updates, which will be delivered before they become due to the department. With this, we have completed our session on Release 5.0 enhancements in excise for traders and manufacturers. Hope this session has helped you. Thank you.